Okay, folks, last video I did was on Marie Florence, Candassamy, and Sera Song, and I talked about how this is like one of those all-time epic matchups. Last bout, I believe, it went into overtime with Candassamy narrowly coming out on top. Now, they matched up again at the top 8 bout of the Doha Grand Prix. Another 15-12 win for Marie Florence Candassamy. I remember reading in Peter Westbrook's book, Harnessing Anger, that he considered any score less than 15-11 to be a slaughter. This is 15-12. Epee, obviously double touches. This is a pretty close bout, but I always like to use that 15-11 Westbrook standard as kind of the way to illustrate how close a bout was or wasn't. Tactically, what happened in that bout, right, the one that we watched last time, is Sera Song was doing really well playing her counter-offensive game, pulling Candassamy to her 2-meter zone, making her hesitant to actually attack. And in that moment of hesitation, or when Candassamy got too close, Song was going with these very, very strong flushes or decisive finishes to her lunge. Now, I haven't watched this particular bout yet. I'm doing another live analysis here, but I'm going to guess, based on tactics here, what you're going to see from Candassamy is probably an early lead, with her wanting to be a little bit more decisive in how she finishes her actions. Less of drawing out Sera Song here, and more of Candassamy being proactive, taking the initiative. So with that projection, let's go ahead, put this bout on, and do a little bit of analysis. Here we go. All right, so again, Song's strength is really in pulling and playing the counter-offensive game, but Candassamy is like, at the beginning of this bout, she knows that that's not where she wants to be, and she waves here for a second, asks the referee to halt, something on her shoe. Anyhow, you see Candassamy, she's starting to pull here, right? She does not want to go into Sera Song's area of excellence by going towards her 2-meter zone where she plays those acrobatic traps and keeps her there, right? Candassamy is very stubbornly staying in the box, trying to pull, and Song is now trying to just, lure her in. You're playing a little bit of cat and mouse here. My guess is, and I could be wrong, this is going to probably end up in a double P yellow to start, but we shall see. So you see, Candassamy is like, no, 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 Sera, you're trying to bring me into that area where I don't want to be. All right, I'm wrong. Didn't end up with a P yellow. We had 13 seconds remaining. But there you see, pushes there, decisively finishes with the action, direct lunge before Song Sera can get into that 2-meter zone where she plays her freakishly acrobatic game. And now here you're seeing kind of this high-low. She goes for, very, very quick high-low flesh in the box, surprising Candassamy after about 7 seconds. Remember, touches average about 20 seconds per touch in women, so going for that in 7 seconds is pretty quick. Now, here we are again. You're seeing that half advance, quickly into distance, and now from Sera Song. And you see she's working high-low, above and below the guard. It always makes it really hard to decide where Song Sera is going to finish, but she does this fantastically. Now, Candassamy, you see, right before Song Sera is into that 2-meter zone, she gets out, but now she's continuing to push here. Again, this is where she is at her most kind of dangerous. And Candassamy manages to get her with a short feint to stand up, and in that moment that Song Sera flinches there, that's where Candassamy finishes there, right? But again, even though she pushed her into the back of the 2-meter zone, compared to the last bout that I analyzed, you're seeing a little bit more decisive finish from Candassamy. She's not getting back to the 2-meter zone, kind of waiting, trying to bait her out. Once she's back there, she's like, all right, I'm going to use this significant height advantage I have over you and this explosive lunge I have, and that's how I'm going to end this bout. Boom. And look at that pressure. That's one of my favorite things about Candassamy's game, right? Like, her tip is always in front of her, like I mentioned in the last video. Constantly kind of close to the guard, and, she's just in your face and very, very imposing force. I always think it's interesting, though, when she fences Song Sera, and again, we talked about this last time, and boom, decisive flush there. But what I was getting at there is when you watch her fence Song Sera, she's standing kind of on the inside of her guard. So Song Sera is a lefty here. Candassamy is kind of right here. If you read Clément Schreffer's book, How to Fensepe, the Fantastic Four method, he's usually recommending you kind of stand on the outside of a guard with a lefty. Candassamy is frequently kind of going inside. It's gutsy, but it seems to work for her, and she seems to get that angle on that preem when she goes for that. So now we're at 3-2. Candassamy, 39 seconds remaining. And again, you know, Song Sera is at her most dangerous when she gets a lead, because that sucks you right into that counter-offensive game that she plays so well. And look, this is really, really tricky too. You notice on the flushes from Song Sera a lot of the time, they start off with this very, very, very slow acceleration, and then they just get rapid. She doesn't really go into this immediate fast flush, but boom, typical French right there, right? In general, one of the most dangerous things you can do against any French fencer in men's or women's is you go for that toe touch and you overcommit on the front leg. They're capitalizing on that punishment every time, and that's a touch there where you see Song Sera go for the foot. Candassamy sees the entire body exposed, and before she can recover, starts the flash, gets a single light. Really, really, really good way for her to wrap up this first period. Let's see if anything else happens here. And again, she's kind of moving rapidly in and out, tip in front of her in the box. They're trying to see if anyone's going to do anything, but it looks like right here they're going to probably back away, play a couple jabs here, but that's really how you want to end a period. You don't want to rush anything that's not there, especially with two fencers this evenly matched in this caliber, right? So here, and sorry, my screen just went black for a second there. Here now, I'm guessing what he's telling her, right, is to begin this period kind of the same way, right? Not chasing Song Sera and finding anything that's not there, right? Candassamy seems to have a lot of control of this bout. She's keeping really, really good distance compared to the last bout that we analyzed. She's finishing decisively, so again, this is where Song Sera plays her trap zone so well. She pulls you to the back of her 2-meter zone. She makes you second guess yourself. She gives you every reason to not want to attack her, and then she goes. And what you're seeing with Candassamy in this first period compared to the last bout is she's much more decisive in the finish, being much more proactive in her attacks and not waiting for responsive actions, but taking the initiative here. So we begin the second period, 5-3. Obviously, this is still anybody's bout. And again, Candassamy is kind of just like, at least in the first 10 seconds here, she's like, no, I don't want to chase you. I want you to chase me. And on that step forward from Song Sera, like with beautiful timing, ends up in a double. She goes for that lunge before Song Sera's front foot can hit the ground. That's exactly how you want to be timing your attacks in prep. Your opponent picks up their foot, and you're starting the attack before their front foot can even hit the ground. That's just fantastic. Vintage French timing right there. So again, here we are in the box, and Candassamy is like, no, I don't really want to chase you here. Song Sera tries to, let's watch this again. So let's see here where this touch lands. Let's rewind here. Boom, kind of off balance there a little bit, maybe unplanned. She starts that action, kind of stands up as Candassamy comes in, and we're within a one-touch lead now. But again, there's that angle, right, of Candassamy kind of standing inside the guard of the lefty. There's that pressure there. Starts a flash, realizes as soon as it's out that she doesn't want to chase what's not there, and she quickly aborts that action. Song Sera thinks she gets pretty close there and goes for that low line attack, and Candassamy is ready for a counterattack over the top. Boom, and trust is surprise. Song Sera comes off the line there with a kind of big step. And Candassamy thinks, all right, well, you're going to come to me that close, I'm going to go for it. But Song Sera, being the escape artist that she is, manages a double out of that action that really should have been a single for Candassamy. And we're back to it. 2-touch lead now for Candassamy. Again, most of this is in the box, right? At least in the beginning. She's really taking her time in the box trying to see if Song Sera will follow her before she starts to kind of pursue her to her side of the strip, where she is such a danger and such a threat. And again, those half advances, anybody in fencing, men, women, I don't care, should be watching how Song Sera sets up these half advances, because they are simply beautiful. She's just in and out of the distance really quickly. Her guard is always in a good place if she needs to take a parry. Her blade work is really, really strong when she baits these attacks out. And just the way that she does this, the footwork is just phenomenal. I love watching Song Sera's footwork. I think better than anybody in fencing right now. So let's rewind here. I went on a little bit of a tangent there, and I totally missed what happened on this touch. So again, look at this weird angle that she has here, right? So she's pushing, and there's that back of the 2-meter zone, and she just, boom, takes that 4 opposition and finishes with a really, really decisive touch. Just awesomely done. And again, this is exactly what I anticipated the strategy for Candassamy would be here, is that decisive finish that she didn't have in that last bout that we watched. But that flesh, there was no hesitation. She just went right in for it, finished with that close the line in 4. Beautiful touch by Candassamy. And again, Song Sera is getting a little bit more aggressive than you would expect. She's typically taking about 25 seconds per touch, but in the box, boom, gets Candassamy kind of standing up there for a second, and in that moment that she flinches, she goes for that flesh. And again, I mentioned this in the last video, right? But this is another reason why when I hear this urban myth of, oh yeah, you got to be tall to be an epee fencer. No, Song Sera is 5'4", and Candassamy is significantly taller than her, probably has a foot on her. And look, she's using her footwork to neutralize that advantage. And again, there's that decisive flesh in the box. What's happening here is, you know, she's getting a little bit more aggressive because she doesn't want to let Candassamy bully her, push her to the back of the strip, let these actions develop. She goes for that flesh, but this time Candassamy is ready, gets a nice clean counterattack over the top right there. (8:10), 1 minute remaining now in the second period. Still a lot of fencing to happen here. And you see how quickly she recovers from that toe touch too, right? That's the other thing that's so clean about her fencing, is she recovers low, kind of below the tip, and then back to a low on guard. Song Sera's acrobatics are just freakish in terms of her sheer athleticism and what she's able to do with her feet. And again, there's that squat, right back to an on guard. If you just watch what Song Sera can do with her feet and her flexibility, it's absolutely nuts. It's something special. It's something like I've never seen in just about anybody in fencing. Tries to go for that squat attack, kind of similar to the Romain Canon style of going with that flying squat attack into the preparation. But Candassamy closes her out there and manages to get that single light. And that makes it 8-11, right? That's kind of one of those danger score territories, right? Where at that point you can easily kind of double out. But again, you know, anytime you have a coach that tells you to double out, no, don't do that. It's a failing strategy. Most double touches actually happen in the first period, statistically. And there, Song is pushing there, kind of takes that 4 opposition, hits her. And again, Song Sera is playing much more of an offensive game in this bout than we're used to. She has to, because for most of this bout, she's behind. But, you know, when in reality, because of the height deficiency, Song Sera's strongest game, and also because of her acrobatics that she's able to play in the back of the strip, Song Sera's strength is in a counter-offensive game. She's not really looking for that today. She's having to play this offensive game, and you can see even her coach is trying to tell her right now, like, find that moment to close the distance and look for that flesh that had been working so well for her throughout this bout so far. And again, what Candassamy is doing really, really well here is finishing very, very, very decisively, keeping pressure around Song Sera. Where she's losing out here is a little bit is in the box, right? She's not really controlling the middle of the strip well compared to Song Sera, who's able to kind of go for that attack and preparation with those flushes before Candassamy is really able to set up a lot of those actions. So now we're in the third final period, 11-9. Very much a close bout still. But y'all see now why I get giddy watching these two fence. I mean, every time they come together, it's an even match. They have different strategies. They change their strategies a million times over the course of the bout. These this is just a special matchup. It really is. That's why I wanted to do kind of these video breakdowns on them, so you guys can see how subtle the tactical adjustments are. And that's rude, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like 2 seconds right off the line, just sees that opportunity and goes right straight with that flesh, single tempo, right into the preparation. Beautiful. And now Song Sera pushing. Misses that 6. Didn't really have the distance to go for that repost there. And that was nice, right? She goes into that distance with that really quick half advance. Gets that extension from Candassamy. And just with this counter time action, boom. Right over the top. Little bit of a sky hook there. And you see, it's so hard to defend Song Sera because the moment that she's kind of going in with that half advance, you start your action and she's already back out of distance before you can really start. Like she's like a little water bug with how quickly she changes directions and goes. And again, there's that flash that had been working so well for her in the box before. But Candassamy manages to get a double out there because, I mean, first of all, look at the length of Candassamy's arms. She's got really, really, really long arms. Tall in general. And so we're back. And again, Candassamy is like, nope, I don't need to chase you. I've got a 2-touch lead here. You come to me. The onus is on you to attack me at this point. And look, again, this is something I mentioned in the last video, but it's worth paying note here. You almost never see Candassamy or any of the French leading with their body. The tip is always in front of them. And I'm not saying it's wrong to lead with the body and do your body feints and what have you, but I think, you know, there is some kind of security in the simplicity of the French game, that the tip is always in front of them, that they're going for a lot of attack and preparation, stellar timing. It's really, really low risk, high reward style of fencing that I think we all could learn something from. So now we're at 14-11, and she's kind of going with this counter prep to the foot. Let's watch this again. It looks like she drops her hand there on the recovery. And that's the moment that Song Sera is like, all right, Merry Christmas. So let's see here. Slow it down a little bit. Yeah, that was just really, really nice timing, right? On that attack and prep. She drops her hand there for 1 second, and on the step forward, she goes into the preparation. Hits her in the arm. Nicely done. And she's pushing and kind of feigning around the guard, but again, she doesn't have to chase her, and she realizes that. So as soon as Candassamy in an area where she's like, I don't like it, you need to come to me, she's there. And boom, kind of Song jumps forward there, and Candassamy goes for the attack in preparation. So 15-12. Now, what was different this time versus the last time, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. For me, as I watched this, I saw Candassamy pushing, finishing a lot more decisively and not waiting for Song Sera to play her game. I saw Song Sera being a lot more aggressive in the box, trying to go for some of those surprise fleshes as she went. And then I also saw Candassamy being much more patient and restrained, right? So there were a couple times where she did push Song Sera to the back of the 2-meter zone in this bout. But in the moments that she kind of saw things that she didn't like, she immediately pulled back and said, you know what, I'm just going to reset and play my game and have you come to me. And that was especially true once she got about a 2 or 3 touch lead. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any feedback around this live commentary, ways that you think we can improve this, leave a comment. Always willing to listen to feedback. Thank you all for tuning in.